And no worries, we will start the show. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining today. In the latest of the, Revizto webinar series. Today's topic will be introducing the power of BIM for resources and heavy industrial projects. First things first, I'd like to start with the acknowledgement of the country. So we begin today by acknowledging the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respect to their elders, past and present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders people today. Firstly, the Revizto webinar speakers. So you'll have myself, APAC Territory Manager, and one of the resources and heavy industrial projects team members, but also you'll have Chris Mawson, who's our APAC Customer Success Director. And fun fact about Chris, also a structural steel engineer by trade. So very sort of, thanks for joining, Chris.
Thanks, Jack. Nice to be here. Exciting hour planned, so hold on to your seat.
Yes, I'm sure the viewers can't wait. No worries at all. So just a bit of housekeeping before we do officially kick off. The webinar is being recorded and a link will be sent in the Zoom follow-up email to all the registrants. Use the chat to drop comments and I'll try and put a few key points in there as well. Use the Q&A to submit your questions throughout the webinar. We will be answering them at the end. And also, as always, to keep up with future webinars and events, please follow Revizto and check us out online and you'll get a good understanding of when they are coming up. So just a quick agenda. I'll give you a very what is Revizto, how it works, and how we're sort of working in the resources and heavy industrial space. And then you'll have the pleasure of a Revizto deep dive with Mr. Chris Mawson, and we'll follow that up with some Q&A at the end. So yeah, feel free to chuck your questions into the Q&A section of the Zoom, and we will make sure we get onto those. So firstly, what is Revizto? So Revizto is the fastest growing 2D, 3D collaboration platform across architecture, engineering and construction. But we've recently really started to expand across mining, resources and heavy industrial projects. Revizto is built on video game technology, so all members of the project can easily pick up and use. Revizto does become the single source of truth on the project, with all members accessing the most current up-to-date models, 2D sheets, but also all scans, laser scanning, drone scans, project documentation, so on and so forth. So your whole team can access crucial project documents. Fully integrated, Revizto will take in most modeling software and a wide range of formats with seamless integration of the 2D and 3D environments. And Chris will take you through that today in the Revizto deep dive. Cloud-based collaboration as well, including mobile apps for site-based delivery. So you can actually work with your global teams as well. If you've got design offices around the globe in certain regions, everyone can access and work on the same project in the cloud. And again, because of that light gaming engine, ultra-fast uploads of models, saving hours of time across the project. So the bigger the project, the more value you get with Revizto. It works very well on those large mega projects as well. As mentioned, a full list of our current integrations. So across the full Autodesk suite and other tools there. Doesn't really matter what you're modeling in, what you're designing in, we'll be able to bring it into Revizto. Advanced Steel is the newest member of the Revizto family as well. The formats, so Aviva, so the mining platform there, FBX, DWFs and OBJ, so your full sort of drone and laser scanning suite there, 12D for civils, but then also IFCs. So again, we're taking that wide range of formats, so you don't have to worry about not being able to get something into this platform. It'll take that in, which is really exciting. So the growth of Revizto, as you can see, rapidly growing across the globe, 250,000 users, 30,000 projects. But I guess the most telling statistic here is the 95% retention rate. So once you do embed Revizto onto a project, you are more likely to keep working with it and obviously push it across other projects. A bit of a Revizto fun fact as well. We work with work on every major infrastructure project on the east coast of Australia. So engaging main contractors, tier 1 engineers, and even the asset owner as clients and users of this platform. And again, just a little bit of a who's who and who do we work with in APAC, but really exciting, again, to see a few mining logos starting to appear here, and others in that heavy industrial space. Now, I guess I wanted to just sort of hash over what is the current or historical BIM workflow in resources projects. So with Revizto being a new technology, it is easy to find a lot of efficiencies and where we can really enhance this space. So currently, we find the TQ process especially is very manual, paper-based, but that also follows through to QA and CMS systems. We are sort of finding through our conversations with our customers, there's no digital TQ management system really out there at the moment that's easy to use and the whole team can pick up and run with it. The historical tools are non-collaborative and non-cloud based, so you are still stuck in that world of taking a screenshot and then sending it out to 15 different people via email, and you're sort of getting lost in the markups and the revision changes and all that type of thing. Outdated coordination software, so there's been no advancement to certain tools for many years that are sort of operating in this space. So again, that usability and ease of use is just not there. As mentioned, sort of a flow on from that, but very difficult for non-technical teams to access the models and the drawings. One big pain, I think, is that how do we get that out to the teams on site? So how do the design models obviously make it their way to site, and the teams on site can actually build what we want them to, what's been designed? Again, there's many different specific solutions and softwares out there for modeling, but again, you do need a high level of technical expertise to properly operate them. And again, there is a bit of a gap there in that TQ or technical query management space. So the first of 2 points I'd really like to talk about today, that I guess we see where Revizto fits into this space and where we are really getting some good runs on the board. First one is our TQ management system, or as some of you may know, the issue tracker. So the issue tracker is an inbuilt TQ coordination platform for teams to identify and coordinate issues. You can pin your issues in a 3D world, which will also pin that issue in all the affected 2D sheets. It has chat functionality as well for real-time communication, and myself and Chris will demonstrate this today. Site teams can access, add photos, documents from the field to really give clarity and context to potential issues. The TQ system will also cut down on RFIs or formal technical queries by 90 to 95%, as most of the issues can now be solved within Revizto. And Revizto also has an automated clash engine, which feeds all these TQs into the TQ tracker. So again, it can be set up as a total automated process, which saves hours upon hours on projects. The second pain, I guess, that we have experienced, that we have found, is how, again, do we get the 2D sheets and the 3D models out to site? So we will see that, it has been quite a paper heavy and labor intensive process of printing out 2D drawings that could be outdated. As of April this year, Revizto released this mobile app available on Android, Apple tablet, gives all users the ability to access those 2D sheets, 3D models. Can also now be used for the certification and commissioning stage of the project as well, as the next slide will show. So as you can see there, you can obviously use the mobile app for your on-site commissioning using QR codes. You can also add specification, documentation, data sheets, etc. to that as well. So then, I guess, that project handover, the client can actually receive a living, breathing, fully fledged version of that project, which they could then use for operations, maintenance, OEM schedules, and the like moving into the future. So again, just ROI and what we've discussed with our customers is when you do push a lot of that manual, historical, labor-intensive workflows into a Revizto, you do save hours upon hours in your current workflows. Revizto is like having a couple more project engineers in your team. So it is that sort of, once it's set up and once it's embedded, once you are working with the implementation managers in Chris's team, you will find a lot of I guess, efficiencies in your day-to-day workflows.
Okay, cue me. So we're going to have a look at the platform now, but just before we dive into it, I guess it's our vision. So the CS, or customer support team, the CS team, is known for years that the construction industry is a little bit broken. I'm not sure if it's such in the mining, but I suspect it probably is the same. So we've got a vision. Our vision is to help or to change the actual industry itself, and the software that we use, so Revizto, is helping to change that. So that's essentially what we want to do today or moving forward. So next slide, Jack. So you don't also just get an awesome bit of software, you get an awesome team behind that software. So I think I just wanted to touch on this because it kind of is quite different, I think, from a lot of softwares out there. We don't just give you the software and say, all right, thanks for the money and here's the software, see you later. We actually train your team. So behind the scenes, we've got a global CS team, which is 20+ strong, growing by the month. In the APAC region, you've got 5 people at the moment. By next year, it's going to be up to 8 because we're expanding that so quickly. So everyone's from industry, so they've got decades of experience to lean on. And then if we can't resolve an issue in our kind of region, we can tap into the global network as well. Okay, Jeff. Just want to very briefly touch on the roadmap, or touch more on the development side of Revizto. So we strongly believe that we need to get feedback from the customers to push the software forward. So the CS team work with the client, but also work with the development team. We're kind of the go-between between the client and the developers developing the tool. So I think it's really important to emphasize that we are pushing the software forward. We're not going to just sit back and let it be as it is. So what we've decided to do, 6 monthly kind of major releases. So the next one's going to be 5.14. On the screen at the moment, you can see the updates which will be pushed out in the next software. So we've got some really key tasks or tools, sorry, which are going to come up. The QR codes, the ability to print a QR code and then stick it on a bit of equipment on site. You will be able to scan that code. It will open up the model on your mobile app or your iPad and jump to that specific bit of plant or kit or wherever it is. New task scheduler, so that's getting revamped. Task scheduler enables you to basically automate a lot of the tasks. Things like AR for the mobile device is coming, so this will be a huge game changer. And then the API, I guess the back end, which we're opening up to be able to integrate more with other softwares. So look forward to seeing that. Okay, I will start sharing my screen. Okay, is that all good, Jack? All good. All right.
All good here, mate. Looking smooth.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the platform. So we'll basically go through a lot of the tools today. I'm not going to go through all of them, but it's going to be a mining specific, but we will touch on some industry workflows as well. So we'll have a look at the overall application itself, the 3D view, the 2D sheets as well. Oops, jump out of that, which is an important part. And then we'll have a look at the issue tracker, or the TQ, as we're going to call them today. So 3D environment, as Jack mentioned, it's based on a gaming engine, which makes it super quick, super easy to navigate. So you can fly around the model really quickly just by using your mouse. If you're on site with the iPad, it's basically the same functionality. So you can quite easily navigate around looking for issues in the model. So just having a look down here, there seems to be an issue here. We'll come back and have a look at that at a later date. So this is the 3D environment. Also got the 2D environment. So this is where all of our sheets live. So I can flick down, look at any sheet in the model. Let's pick this overall site plan, open it up, and start to look around what's going on the sheet. The beauty of the 2D is the fact that I can drop it over a 3D, well, over the 3D model. I can then interrogate both the 2D against the 3D. Because everything's bi-directionally linked, you can see the purple dot in the middle. That's where I am in the model itself. Let's pick a couple more drawings. Let's go down to about a foundation plan down here. So this is a building where it's exactly the same principle. I can drop this flat over the model itself and start to interrogate what's going on in the drawing. Yep. I can also save this out as a viewpoint and come back at a later date. We'll have a look at creating some viewpoints in a second. Let's turn that off, go back in our 2D. Because the drawings in this case, they're coming out of Revit, the authoring software. Everything's got a hyperlink on it, so I can jump to the details of the foundations, and it will link to that specific detail on my other sheet or other drawing. Again, I can overlay this 2D sheet over the 3D model like so. What we can do now is start to have a look at, saving this view for a later date. Maybe there's an issue with this view. We want to set up a TQ or place a stamp into the actual model itself. So we'll have a look at doing that as well. You've got various other tools in the 2D side of things, like the ruler to measuring things. We can export PDFs, import separate PDFs, compare PDFs. I've got one here that we can look at very quickly. I've just got two different PDFs in the model here. So I can flick very quickly from one to the other, and you can see what's changed between the two drawings, like so. Super easy to do, and it's all recorded in there. Go back into the 3D environment, jump back to our home page. And then the final area is the issue tracker, which is where all the TQs, as we're going to call them today, are kept. So we'll dive into this a little bit later on, but these are all the TQs associated with the model that have been raised already. We've got all the metadata, which is predefined in the TQs, which is really important when we start looking at clash automation, and we'll go through that today. Okay, so we'll start to just navigate around, and I'll go through some of the tools that we've got inside of Revizto and just run you through those. First one, we'll just have a look at, just out of interest, the load, unload models area. This is where you can see which models have been loaded into the project, by who and when, which models are not loaded. So we've got a point cloud in here, which I've just turned off just to speed things up. Talking about the speed, Jack touched on it earlier. We do deal with a lot of infrastructure projects, which are massive. So I think the biggest one is like 20K. And we've got point clouds in this 20K model. People are kind of amazed at the speed of Revizto when it's coping with these very large point cloud models. So just be aware of that. Okay. 3D side of things, we've got various models in here. We've got a couple of buildings. We'll start to look at what we can do. So viewpoints, really useful tool, super easy to use. It's basically a way of capturing a location or an image to come back to and look at later on. So on the left-hand side here, we'll just open our viewpoints page. We've got various predefined views, which have already set up. I can simply jump between these views really quickly and apply certain overrides to these views. The overrides apply when you jump through one view to another. So you'll see I've isolated the steelwork around this hopper. We've got things like we can create boxes around elements in the model, so we can come back to it later date. These are not TQs. These are maybe it's something you want to discuss with one of your clients or colleagues, and then you can just jump through any of these and start to interrogate the model. Really, really useful tool. So I'm just going to flick through a few more views which I've saved. The ability to make other models transparent and just focus purely on the elements that you want to look at. You can apply things like colorization. So very quickly, very easily see what's going on inside of the model. Again, just applying different overrides to different views. In this one, we've highlighted the conveyor belts, if that's what they're called. We can also apply sections to the model as well and save them in the viewpoint. Again, really powerful tool to see what's going on in the model in 3D. Saving viewpoints for clashes. So you might be navigating around the 3D environment and you find a clash. You want to drop a stamp on it. You want to kind of discuss it with, in this case, probably hydraulics engineer of moving that. The beauty of Revizto is we can jump back into the authoring software using our switchback facility. So predefined view, I'm going to switch back into my Revit model, which I've got open here. And what it does, as long as I select one of the elements, or this element here, drag it over there, it will open up the Revit model and create a box around that element. So I can now come in and actually move that drain out of the way. Super powerful tool. I can raise an issue inside of Revizto, inside of Revit, and it will push through to the issue tracker, a TQ inside of Revit, and it will push it into the issue tracker. So it's that bi-directional link. We can also set up export or automatically using the export scheduler in here. Again, a super powerful tool. Imagine Friday evening, all of your models have been updated through the week. You want to push it up to Revizto. You can do this automatically. You can do it every day of the week if you want, but typically, you'd be doing it once a week. You've got the latest software, the latest models in the project automatically. Really powerful tool. We can export all the sheets, as I've already said, just by using the export tool inside of Revit itself. That's not opening. Anyway, I'll jump back into the model. So just continuing going through the viewpoints, just highlighting different clashes. So we've got a clash with flex duct here with some pipes. Again, I can use my jump switchback facility here, or jump straight back into the Revit model, like so. I can start to interrogate it and move the pipes around. Touched on earlier, the ability to apply a 2D sheet over a 3D model. Really powerful tool. You can then start to interrogate the model and check the drawing is actually correct. Super easy to do that. Just jump into my 2D environment. Can come down to have a look at building sections here. Click my house button, drops over the area in the model, and I can create a viewpoint on the fly here. That's then saved into my viewpoints down here. I can flick through the different ones and simply rename it really quickly. Building section, and then drag it into my folder here. Really easy to use, really powerful tool. We can also has the ability just to isolate certain models and then save the overrides. So if I open up what was called our object tree in here, you'll see this is a location where all of our models are kept inside of the project. So if I go back to my home view very quickly, you'll see the object tree. All of the models now are in dark. The one that's grayed out is the point cloud, basically showing me what is loaded or not loaded in the project, which is showing here. So if I want to isolate a model, simply just select it, isolate, bang, it's done. I've isolated all of the steel and services inside of the model. Jump back to my home screen, that will refresh everything, just reset. But if I wanted to save that view, say we want to have a look at this hopper here, simply just click on new viewpoint here. Let's call it, I don't know, hopper. Like so, and I can come back to it at any time. What other tools do we have in here? We've got the ability to lock appearance really quickly. If I select this button now and then jump between the different views, it's grabbing the appearance from the view which I used right at the start. And I can just simply jump through all of these other views and it will honor what settings I've got set up in there. Really powerful tool for applying different kind of appearance templates, overrides to your different views in the model. Just going to reset my view here. Jump back into my object tree. I'm just going to open up my properties box as well, and I'll show you what else we can do in here. So object tree open, we've got the ability to search at the top. So let's have a look at some piling information. I know I've got some piles under this building down here. So we can start to focus on those objects just by searching for them in the object tree at the top. And I can right click in my 3D space and then pick various options in here. So let's isolate these particular piles here. Just do them over there, start to have a look at them. And we'll start to interrogate some of the information in here. So just selected one of the piles. By default, the properties box is blank. You need to select an element for it to engage. And then in this case, all of the information or the parameters or properties coming out of Revit, I'm bringing them in as properties into Revizto. I can then start to interrogate all of this information. So what we've got at the top here, we've got a favorites and a preset. So I've created a preset that's called Crisp Piling. And inside of that, I've got all the information that is associated with the piles on this project. I can hover over an element. All of the information which has been saved in my favorites, which is this top one here, will show up just by hovering over an element. So the mark, as you can see on the screens, P for pile 44, it's got all of the information. It's got all the Rio, it's got the volume. So we can start to interrogate, what's going on with this information. Again, we can search for things in, let's have a look at category we've already got. We can search, see what else we've got, structural boundaries category in here. So all of the information we can search by using the search facility at the top here. I can simply click on type name in here and I can create a new search set. We're not going to dive into search sets today, but it's a really massive tool. If anybody's used other collaboration platforms, creating search sets in those softwares can really difficult. Inside of Revizto, it's super easy. I can literally just right click on it and then I can hit find all. It's gone away and found all 103 piles in the entire model just by 3 clicks. Yep. I can save this as a search set now. I could call it 600 diameter piles, and then it's saved into my search sets in here. Search sets become apparent more used with appearance templates. We can apply colorization and the likes of transparencies to these elements. We could also use it inside of Clash. It's essential to have your search sets for when we start looking at Clash automation, which we'll have a look at a bit later on. So what can we do with this information? So we can also interrogate all of this favorites or this information coming out of the model in what's called our selection inspector. So if I open up the selection inspector, you'll see at the bottom now, we've got all the information associated with this pile. Yep. My preset is set to crisp piling. So it's giving me all of this information in my selection inspector. Yep. Come back into here, right click, find all similar. You'll now see that all 103 elements are now highlighted in the model. So what can we do with this information? So we can add, or we can export to a CSV. So you can then bring it into Excel. You can start interrogating the information outside of Revizto. In 5.14, we're going to have the ability to push information back in. So we then looking at pushing and pulling of data between authoring softwares or Excel into Revizto as well. What else can we do here? We can raise a TQ or a stamp. We can place one stamp or raise one TQ on all 103 elements by using this button here, or I can drop 103 TQs, i.e. one stamp on each pile. So here in New Zealand, if you do piling, you need to inspect all of the piles. So you need to go around and take a photograph of each of these piles. By dropping a stamp or a TQ onto all of these piles, I can create an issue for these in the issue tracker. And then once I'm on site with my phone app, I can start to take photographs, recording it back into the model. So it's a really useful workflow. Works for any elements inside the model. It could be on a door schedule, a window schedule, or steel inspection and things like that. We also have the ability to create custom properties inside of the model. So you'll see inside of my properties here, we've got a mining data one, and it's got inspected, and it's on no here. Let's check some other ones. And these are being inspected. This is showing up as yes. What we can do with this information by using our next tool, which is our appearance profiler, we can actually start to create colorization based on the information which is being pulled from the properties. So all I'm doing here is saying, all right, show me all of the piles that have been inspected on site. So the ones in green, very simply, have been ticked with a yes. The ones in red, I click on this one, it's showing up as no. All I've done here is applied a colorization in my appearance profiler and then saved it as a template in here. Super useful. Such a powerful tool. This is all to do with the search sets as well, which as I said, I'm not going to go through, but the search sets work really well with the appearance profiles. Okay, quickly have a look at some of the other tools before we start dropping in some TQs. Just on the navigation side of things, we've got various tools. We've got a map view here, which is basically a bird's eye view of the overall site. You've got the levels on the right hand side, so I can flick through. You'll see the models changing as I flick through the levels. I can, if you've got rooms in the model, these will show up. If you've got grids as well, really useful on an iPad when you're on site, so you don't have to navigate around pushing your thumb around. You can teleport to the various locations just by double clicking, right? So I've just jumped into the model via my map view. Jump back into my map view. You can see where the purple gizmo is. That's where I am inside of the model. We've got rooms. I'm not going to go through these today. If you've got rooms in your model, you can jump into here, search for those rooms like so. Some of the other tools that we've got, very useful measure tools. Let's have a look at these now. We've got 5 measure tools in here. First one we'll look at is the laser ranger. Basically shoots a laser from one surface to another. I can just simply drag this from one element to another to get the horizontal dimension in this case, or double click. I can change the units, I can change the color, I can save this into the issue tracker. So it's got all of the set out information on there. Various other ones, we've got point to point, so I can snap to points of these, get the diagonal, not super useful, but if I flick through my other dimensions, perpendicular, it's now giving me the height, or I've got parallel, which is giving me the horizontal distance. Minimum, I select a couple of objects like that, it will just give you the minimum dimension between those two objects really quickly. Level level elevation tool, let's move that around. Just simply by dragging, hold my mouse down and dragging it onto any surface, I can get the overall elevation of that surface. If I get close to a corner of an element, it will actually snap to that element, which is super useful. These coordinates at the bottom are actual real world coordinates. So as long as the authoring software is set up in the correct coordinates, these values down here will be giving you the true coordinates of that location. So you can start to get set out information. Say if I wanted the set out of this foundation here, you simply drop it on like so. Slope, pretty obvious, just literally jump onto any surface and it'll give you the slope of that surface. Quickly have a look at the sectioning tool. Go around here, select the sectioning tool. I'm just going to double click on that surface and then push and pull my sectioning tool. Super useful in conjunction with your viewpoints. So now I can just click on my viewpoints down here, saved it in to my viewpoints over here. I can flick through it like so. If I want to change it, just jump back into my section mode. I can start to drag it further into the page like so. Just going to reset that, hit my home button, refresh all of that. I've also got a box tool. This way to engage that, say I want to have a look at this hopper here, just select the element and then basically hit your scissors, you cut, and then I can start to navigate around this particular element like so. So if I'm interested in just viewing this object, again, save it into my viewpoints. I can come back at a later date. Various other tools in here just to scale boxes and move it around or rotate if you want. Okay, so let's start have a look at creating some TQs now. So I've isolated this model, make it a little bit wider. And I know there's a clash down here, or a suspected clash. So what are we going to do? We're going to drop a stamp or create a TQ inside of the model. Let's just rehash that. Okay, so these two buttons here, issues and stamps, we're going to use stamps today, purely because all of the metadata associated with it can then come through into our issue tracker. So click the stamp and we go into stamp mode. Down the left-hand side, all different folders that we've got set up with all different stamps in it. I'm just going to jump into the stamp manager and then click on TQ here, and I'll show you what's going on in the background. So we created a stamp, it's called TQ, and then we've got all of this metadata, which is associated with it. So this metadata is applied to the stamp every time you drop it into the model. So every time you raise the TQ, dropped into the model, and it goes into the issue tracker. So we've got things like the abbreviation for the stamp. We've got assignee. You only can ever have one assignee. So the assignee, in this case is Bill. He's been assigned with resolving these issues that we're going to raise. We've got different priority levels from none to blocker. Obviously, the higher up you get, you want to resolve it quicker. So you can predefine that in there. We've got things like deadlines that we can set up, color of the stamp, and then we've got watchers. So watchers are people that will get notified once the TQ has been raised. So in this case, myself and Jack, I'll get notified via email, either instantly or 24 hours, or depends on how you want to set this up, because maybe you could link this in with your priorities. So if it's a blocker, you want to get a kind of issue straight away notification. And then we've got public or private, and then we've got tags. It's just a way of filtering it again inside of the issue tracker. So we've navigated around the model, found what looks like an issue, so we'll drop a stamp in now. So what I need to do is just come over and pick my relevant stamp. In this case, just use a TQ, and then we'll drop it in there. Instantly, we come into what's called a mini issue tracker. All of this metadata associated with this TQ stamp has already been filled out. Yeah. So let's just change the title in here, column clash, and apply that there. So old school, what we used to do, we'd take a screenshot of a Revit model and then kind of attach it to an email or stick it in a spreadsheet, send it to somebody, a whole painful process. This is all alleviated now inside of Revizto. I can drop a TQ in here. All of this metadata associated with the stamp gets saved into the issue tracker. But jump on this sketch button now, I can start to mark up this view. First thing I'm going to do is just turn off my little TQ stamp, so I don't want it there. I can just come to my markup tools and very quickly start to, just going to say it's a clash, mark it up like that, hit done, boom, that's it. But now going to my issue tracker, I can start to view all the issues that have been raised inside of the model. So instantly the first one that pops up is one that I've just created, but I can flick through the different issues in the model. So I can come down and start to have a look at, oh, what other TQs have we got in the model itself? All of the, let's jump back to this one I've created, all of this metadata says coming through from the stamps. Then we can start to interrogate and start to look at the clashes themselves. Imagine I'm Bill, so the first thing I do is come in the morning, check out all of my TQs. So there's various ways of filtering through all of the different issues in the model, just by selecting the different filters in this column here. So you can see I've got 344 all issues, current issues 340. I can search by ones which are reported by me. So these are ones that I've placed. I can search for my open issues. I can search for TQ, which are open. So some are open, in progress, or solved. I can search just for the in progress ones, which we'll have a look at in a second. So the filter is really powerful tool just to drill down into a specific area. I can search by level, I can search by zone, so it's condensing it even further. So let's have a look at the TQ stamp. Imagine I'm Bill. First thing I'd do is come into here, change my status to in progress. That's going to be useful later on when we start having a look at dashboards and reporting. So I'm Bill, coming in here, having a look around. Oh yeah, what can I do? So at the moment, I'm in my markup mode. I can jump into my 3D mode and start to have a look at what's going on in here. Yeah, I can start to hide bits of the model like such and start to have a look of what's going on with that. I can also jump into a 2D environment and start to have a look at it as well. Remember, it was right at the start, it said the bi-directional link between drawings and the 3D. So long as they're coming from the authoring software, it's going to show up on the 2D space as well as in the 3D model as well. I've also got my map view. I can jump to that very quickly and see where I am in context with everything else in the model. Back into the issue tracker. What I'd do now is I'd switch back to my authoring software. Like I showed you earlier, that would then crop it to this area, and then I'd start to have a look and go through how to resolve that. So just in the chat here, you can see Jack's been busy with some chat in here. We can chat between ourselves and we can attach things like photographs. This is what Jack's just done. So super handy, super useful on the site. So you've got your mobile app, you've got the model up, you can create a stamp, a TQ in the model. It will instantly be pushed up to the cloud and then downloaded to my model here. So Bill comes in, it's in progress. He's gone into the authoring software, switched back, has moved it. you'd come back in here, move it to solved. Then I can start to look at stamps in here. You'll see that the clash status is changing all of the time, and we'll have a look at reporting later on. So ones that are ready to close out is a really important filter. So these are ones that I've raised as someone else has moved the status to solve. I could then come in here and start to check these just to make sure that whatever Bill said he's done is actually done. Another one down here we could have a look at, which has been resolved as well. Doesn't only have to be for technical queries. So imagine you're on site and you want to show all the O&M manuals attached to a specific element. You could do this by creating an O&M stamp. So in here, we've got various conveyors, which I've just dropped an O&M stamp on, like so. The beauty is this, we can start to attach kind of O&M manuals to these objects as well. So this is just a pump, I think, that I've just added that data to. So you can set these up with duration. So these are set at 12 months. So within the next 12 months, you can come back and it'll notify you that, I've got to have a look at this bit of kit and do some PPM. You can also filter by ones which are overdue. So then it could be like, all right, come on, Bill, what are you doing? You need to get on site and have a look at this and make sure everything's running okay. So that's basically how you create a TQ manually. There is the clash automation we'll look at very quickly, which is the next tool here. So the clash engine gives you the ability to clash, say in this case here, it's structures versus services model using your search sets. So basically in here, we've got the ability to predefine all of the clash types. So it could be a hard clash, could be a tolerance clash in here, run the test and then view the results. So this is one I've already prepared. If I start to select all of the results, I can see all of the clashes inside of the model. So I can start to look at them all together, or I can start to look at them individually. Once I've reviewed these, I can start to push them through to the issue trackers. So these ones at the top, they've got an open issue, they've been pushed through to the issue tracker itself. So I can jump into the model inside of the issue tracker and start to see what's going on in the model itself or with the issue. Again, I jump back into the authoring software, resolve the issues, and then push it back up. Super powerful tool, which I'm not going to go into today, but any further because it's an hour-long session and it's on own. Finally, we'll have a look at the reporting, which is a really important function inside of the workspace. So not only do we have the application, we've also got what's called our workspace. This is an online tool which allows you to view all of the information which is coming through from the application itself. So I've just clicked on my TQ stamps open. So you can see now this is the clash that I've just opened. All of the information, all of the chat is already there. All of the statuses, everything that's happened inside of the application has already been sent up to the cloud and it's all closed out. I can filter by any one of the filters that I've got set up in the application and it will change these so I can look at them in here. I can change the status if I want inside of the workspace like so. Dashboards gives you the ability to create charts of your TQs. So just got a few examples. Here's issues by priority. So I can hover over any one of these. I can select that. It's going to jump into my issue tracker and sort it by that filter. We've got the ability to create issues by status. You can view ones which are in here. We've got the flow of issues. So we can see what TQs have been moving from an open status to a closed status. So we've got some solve to solve in progress, and what's been in the last like 7 days from the 23rd of November to the total number of issues, not including O&M issues. You can track these very quickly, very easily. What we can do with these now, we can schedule the delivery of these. So we could say, all right, send this report out weekly to all these people. They will then get a PDF, which will come through something like this, with all of the charts in a nice kind of PDF format. We also have the ability to send one chart, so I can send this chart now. What that gives you the ability to do is look at the chart with all of the issues associated with it. So I think it's this one. So we've got the chart, but we've also got all of the TQs associated with that chart. Really important function. Finally, let's have a look at reporting. Reporting gives us a ability to combine all of the issues, which are, or the TQs, which have been raised inside of the model. Gives us the ability to drill down very minutely into, this one's just picking up TQs, and then issue this on a weekly basis or instantly. So I can pick every 2 weeks, every week. I can add all of these people into this report. It's going to get issued at 9 AM on a Monday morning. So link this with your schedule exporter. You push the models up, you run your clash. Monday morning, you've got all the results from the previous week of everything that's been going on. Reports come out. This is one of the reports out of the model. You've got all of the information associated with the TQs. Anything with a hyperlink, I can just click on it, open it up. It's going to jump into the model at that specific location and that specific TQ. Super, super powerful tools. Finally, we could also export to Excel. So if you want to interrogate the information inside an Excel spreadsheet, you can. Again, I've got the ability, anything with a hyperlink, it's going to jump into the model at that particular location. Right. I think I've gone over time, so over to Jack to show some of the mobile app functionality.
Thanks very much, Chris. Awesome presentation. I think the questions are filling up fast in our Q&A, so I'll be very, very quick here. 2 seconds. Here we go. Hopefully you can see a mobile phone on your screens right now, but this is the Revizto mobile app. As you can see, I'm just sort of walking around with my fingers, pinching and pulling. This was released this year, and we had sort of, I guess, rave reviews from our clients. We had 100,000 downloads in a week globally. So the Revizto has always been very strong in design coordination, but this tool, along with others, including the iPad functionality, has really, I guess, given Revizto the ability to become a construction on-site delivery tool now, getting those 2D drawings and 3D models out to the guys on site. As I walk around the model, I can obviously just fly around with the joystick here. I can do what we call the 3D, 2D split. So as I walk around in a 3D environment, you'll see where I am in the 2D world as well. So again, give yourself a decent location of where I am on site. One of the questions that has come through already is around geolocation. So that is on the Revizto roadmap. So GPS will be used in the future to locate. Now there's also, there's obviously a bit of a manual walkthrough here with the mobile, but there is QR code solutions as well that Chris can sort of hash on in the Q&A as well. As mentioned, the benefit of this is on-site TQs. So let's just pretend we've found one right here. So again, I'm the ability to use my stamping tools, which Chris has mentioned. I'll find my TQ, pin a stamp here. I could then obviously mark it up as so. I can use a full range of different markup tools, as we've seen. Full functionality to the PC, again, which is really impressive for the ease of use as well. So the teams on site don't have to suffer. As I go through the chat, there's a markup there. I can also add a photo to it to give extra context, which again is going to link to the model and the 2D drawing. Use the photo, again, quickly mark it up, Like so. Push that in, sub chat. Hey, Chris, please assist. Now, he wouldn't have been in the metadata for this stamp. It would have been to Bill, but I will send it through to Chris. So now he can. I could also make Chris a watcher as previously explained. So Chris is going to receive this now. He's already on it. He's received notification. He'll get the markup. He'll also see where it is in the 2D drawing. The Revizto will pin it on the mobile in the 2D space. It'll also pin it, of course, in the 3D space, like so. You can also do all of this as seen before in a 2D environment. Here's my sort of measurement tools as we've shown. Again, the ability to really do what you want from the phone. The ability to work offline as well. I think it's really important with remote mining projects or offshore projects. You can download this for the field, sync the changes from the field. When you get back into the project office, sync it with the cloud, bring all the changes to the project back into Revizto. So again, you can download this to your device to use on the project, etc. As mentioned, let's set up a QA stamp now in a 2D space. I'm just going to chuck this over here, like so, hit done. Again, I can do all sorts of markups, create it. Same rules apply. Let's get Chris onto it again. It's already busy enough, but let's get him working. You'll see there he receives a 2D markup. He can see it in a 2D space, but also he gets it in 3D as well. So that bi-directional functionality is huge. As Chris sort of hashed on as well, you get that full functionality from the phone. So again, I can run a section through my model from the phone if I really wanted to just have a little quick snapshot of what, a little bit of how the services are sitting or what's behind certain layers. I can obviously have a look at that. I can also use all the same measurement tools as we have just shown. So again, I hit my measurements, hit my minimum distances, I will click here, and then let's just push it down. Sorry, this model is a little bit all over the place. Here we go. Awesome. So again, get your minimum distances between two objects, able to interrogate whilst on site. You can also hide layers, you can hide floors, you can hide roofs. You can see, like, what are we meant to be actually delivering here on site? What does the model say we should be delivering here on site? And lastly, as mentioned, all your models are kept on your phone. So you can isolate, you can unload or load, you can jump straight to models, but also your 2D drawings are going to be all kept on your phone as well. So easily the easiest way of getting the 2D drawings and the 3D models out to the teams on site. That light gaming feel to it as well means that large, ultra large, heavy, dense models can be viewed and used. And I think that's really a massive secret sauce of Revizto, if you will, is that gaming engine and that sort of gaming feel to it. And you don't probably see this on my phone, but I have about 15 different projects on my phone, and it's just an iPhone 14. And you can see that the I guess, performance is still pretty good. So yeah, I'll also now pass back over to Chris as we start the Q&A. And yeah, any other questions before we jump into that, please add them to the Q&A now, and we'll also get through those. But yeah, thanks for listening so far, and I'll just set up my screen.
Yeah, we've got first one, possibilities in 4D and 5D for Revizto. Yeah, we're looking into the 4D side of things. That's probably going to be back end of next year, I think. There's a lot of development which is going on at the moment in the back end, especially with likes of the 2D workflow. Believe it or not, we are concentrating on that. We realise that the construction industry still uses a lot of 2D PDFs, so we're rebuilding the 2D side of it from the ground up. So it will come up. The 4D stuff will come after that.
I'll ask the questions, mate. I could be the game show host, if you will.
Oh, Magnus.
So we've got a question from David Morris. Can we get more information on the API enhancements? Will it allow us to build custom tool palettes? Thanks
I
for the
will
question.
send you the API information. So we open it all. We'll open it up in the next release. So yeah, I'll flick you. We get a David Morris. Yeah, I'll send you a link to where the API stuff is.
No worries at all. So from the FGJV, Naidu, possibilities to export viewpoints to PDFs.
No, not at the moment.
No worries. We've got a three-pronged question from Tristan and the Grounded team. So thanks, guys, for listening today. First question, do you get all the benefits of Revizto? Some consultants are working with ArchiCAD, some 12D and some Revit. Does Revizto bring all of that together and allow the same functionality as if all were using the same platform, i.e. Revit?
100%. I mean, we integrate with all of the software, which you've said. I guess the beauty of Revizto, we can generally pull in any file and get the bi-directional functionality, so you can switch back. So yeah, we've got a lot of projects using 12D, especially in APAC. ArchiCAD, not so many users. It's predominantly Revit, but yeah, we do have projects that use, or certainly, I mean, ArchiCAD and Revit, yes, 12D, it's more 12D, Civils 3D, and more of the civil stuff there. So yeah, you still get the same functionality out there.
Yeah, no worries. The next question from Grounded was geolocation. So I think I probably answered that. Yeah, so you can at the moment, it's a little bit of a sort of manual, I guess, walk around there. But Chris, if you want to go into the, I was going to say the QR codes would be a good sort of segue.
Well, just on the location, we released last week, the dev team released the API for the XYZ issues.
Beautiful.
So that's in the API now, well, as of last week.
Awesome. Yeah. Excellent. There you go. It's news to me. Fantastic. Awesome. So the last one from Grounded is around, does Revizto allow VR headset control to navigate through the model?
100%. Yeah.
Yep.
I'd get my VR headset out, but it takes way too long. So.
No, and on that, we would, I guess, we work with Vive or Oculus VR goggles. So if anyone on the call wants more information on that, we can give you the type.
Yeah, it does take. It does take a little bit to get used to it. I mean, it's an amazing tool. Again, we're going to develop it further, probably kind of towards the end of next year again. But I think more people are wanting to use it. We've had it used on a hospital project in Australia where they actually got the technical staff, so like the doctors and nurses, into Revizto with the virtual headset on, so they can actually start to look around the room and go, this is not how I expected the layout to work. So there's things like that which are really, really important. You need to capture in the design stage. So it was brilliant. Yeah.
Awesome. We've got a couple from Machil Basson. Hopefully I've pronounced that correctly. Did Chris say you can set up notifications based on the issue priority?
Did I say that? No, you can't. It's a good idea, though. Or can you do it in Clash Advanced Automation? Yeah, maybe. I'll have a look at that.
Yeah, awesome. No, great question. And for which softwares are switchback available?
I have a list. I will send it to you.
Excellent. Thank you.
We'll just add it to the package.
Yeah, thanks very much. Kevin West asks, have you done or investigated any cost integrations with a CostX or another platform potentially?
Not at the moment. It is being used by a QS firm, and they're pushing the boundaries quite a lot with it. But we've not looked at integrating with any specific kind of QS or costing software. But I guess once the API 3 is available, API 2, it's going to be a lot more information that you can kind of suck out of Revizto and push back in. So yeah.
Awesome. Thanks very much, Kevin. Alex, apologies, may have missed the session, that's okay, but is it possible to run access to certain tools modules by permissions levels so that not everyone has access to all tools who don't need it?
There's certain permissions. Yeah, I mean, to answer it, yeah, you've got roles inside of Revizto, inside of the project itself. So depending on if you're a administrator or just a viewer, there's, you know, you can, as administrator, you've got all of the options, all of the tools. As a viewer, you get locked down of a lot of things. It's not so much the tools per se, it's just what you can do inside of the application. So things like clash automation and things like that.
Awesome, thanks, Alex. Two more left. So we have Michael Cook has asked, any future plans to enable more data fields in Issue Tracker, or the ability for use of expansion of data fields to stamps/Issue Tracker?
I think I touched on that earlier. Yes, the API will allow us to push and pull data, more data fields in Issue Tracker. There's customizable statuses coming. So you'd be able to customize not just open, in progress, solved and closed. You'll be able to customize that to your specific workflow. So that's coming in. I don't know whether that's next release. I think it is in the next release. Yep. Excellent.
Thanks, Michael. And lastly, thanks very much, Apolana Naidu Kuna, for your question. Hi, Chris. Is there any feature in future that may come up, like creating viewpoints in exe files?
The feature.
The ability to export viewpoints. Yeah.
I don't know if it does. Yeah, I don't know whether there is to answer that question, honestly. But we can ask that question.
Yeah, thank you.
Got a meeting tonight with the dev team.
So 8 a.m. tomorrow, guys. Fire your questions off at Chris on the roadmap, and I'm sure he can have more of an idea. But no, thanks very much for everyone for joining today. It's been a great session. It's definitely developed a lot of questions and a lot of interest. So there is a few more little points that I'll touch on. So yeah, please take today as a step to reaching out to Revizto. I'm Jack Joy. That's Chris Mawson. You can find us on LinkedIn, but also you can go through revizto.com, help.revizto.com for any of your technical questions as well. And follow us on LinkedIn at Revizto for more information on webinars and events that we do having coming up across the globe. We do also have our Global User Conference coming up in Denver, Colorado, March the 18th to 20th. Really exciting sort of list of speakers, 30 plus international speakers, 350 registrants, 95% of last year's attendees are heading hopefully again in 2024. So yeah, really great sort of melting pot of all Revizto users across the globe, and yeah, how they're using the tool, but also what benefits and what value they're really driving from Revizto as their go-to collaboration platform. And lastly, thank you. So thanks for everyone for joining all different times around the globe. And this will be saved and recorded. You'll all receive a version of this. And yeah, we'll hopefully see you again at the next one. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.